The headlines in the papers today give us an indication of what is happening in this country, despite the rhetoric of the Albanese government. Headlines such as Labor presiding over the longest run of negative GDP per capita since the 1970s. So those opposite in the Albanese government would have you believe that the country is better off since they came to government. That's their rhetoric. But what is the reality? The reality, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics and the National Accounts figures, is that quarter after quarter there has been decreases in GDP, gross domestic product, per capita for a number of times in a row, 6 that we have not seen since the 1970s. And so the government opposite says that because of some of the cost of living subsidies, which are short-term measures which actually increase spending from the government, which therefore has pressures on inflation, which makes the problem worse in the long run, is having an impact on people of Australia, that longer-term trajectory that we're on. And so the lived experience of Australian families and Australian individuals and Australian businesses is that each dollar they have now buys less. That every time a bill comes in, whether for insurance or particularly energy, they pay more. And so again, you have to compare the rhetoric of those opposite, the Albanese government, with the reality. Mr Bowen, Mr Albanese, Labor senators in this place have a rhetoric which they repeat ad nauseum to the Australian people, that the energy transition that this government is implementing is going to lead to lower prices and cleaner energy. But the reality is that the leader in that transition, my home state of South Australia, with up to 70% penetration of variable renewable energy, we pay the nation's highest electricity prices at 45 cents per kilowatt hour, in stark contrast to many nations overseas that are paying in the order of 13 to 14 cents per kilowatt hour. The reality is that in Europe we see nations such as Germany, which has long been held out as an exemplar by the Albanese Labor government of the sort of nation that we should follow, where the government there has just collapsed, and in large part, according to analysts, because of the debate over the transition and the fact that the cost of all of their transition to renewable energy has actually led to the three parties splintering because of a reduction of confidence in that nation. The reality doesn't just affect people on a personal level. The rhetoric here from the Albanese government is that they are spending more on defence. The reality, as has come out during estimates and various reports in the media over the last few weeks, is that there is not enough money to fund the items that even the Deputy Prime Minister, the Defence Minister, Mr Miles, said only a few months ago were a high priority for Australia's national defence. So think 9102, the project to have sovereign satellite communications, military-grade communications, which Defence has indicated in their arguments underpins so many of our defence capabilities. It went from being a high priority just a few months ago to, after significant questioning during estimates, the Defence Department admitted when we prioritise, it didn't make the cut. Read, there's not enough money to actually pay for the things that Defence see as a high priority, that even this government said was a high priority. And so at a time when the government is saying that they care about quality of life, cost of living, jobs for people, the rhetoric and the ideology that is driving them is actually driving up prices, driving down quality of living, driving down the available funding for the Defence Department, which weakens the security of Australia. We see shipbuilding programs cut, we see satellite programs cut, we see maintenance decreasing on vessels that we need for the security of this nation. The Australian people will soon have a choice. Do they want to continue on this trajectory, which is driven by ideology and rhetoric, or do they want to change to a government that has a track record of building a strong economy and defence on facts?